Toby Greene, it's an honour, it's a pleasure, it's a good time to catch up, my friend, and welcome back to the Dylan Friends podcast. It's been a minute.
Yeah, it has been a while, mate. A few years, hasn't it? So, yeah, you've really taken off since then, and it's great to see.
Thank you, mate. I really appreciate that, and what you feel of myself, I feel the same to you, my friend. Episode 2, you were my second guest on the show. I remember doing that back when we honestly had no idea what we were doing in the studio at the Giants. But gee whiz, mate, did you ever think that, we'd be here now, sitting at episode 68, back on the show?
I could see your vision, mate, and I was all for it. And I was a bit flat I wasn't number one, but that's all right.
Yeah.
You've come along in leaps and bounds, and it's great to see, mate.
I appreciate that, mate. And as I said, I would have got you on first, but Josh Kelly, first the worst, second the best, as they say. That's sort of stands the last of time. So I appreciate that. Now, mate, obviously a big year for yourself. We've got plenty on the agenda today to talk about. I can't be happier to have you on the show. Obviously, would love to do this in person, but you're in sunny Sydney at the moment, living the life up there. Have you obviously known, firstly, Melbourne? We've had COVID-19 down here for a while. Did you take note of that at all?
I heard about it, yeah. I called a fair few friends over the last few months in Melbourne, and everyone wasn't in the best headspace. So I started to notice there must be something going on down there, and turns out, yeah, you're in lockdown for 100 odd days, and I really felt for you guys by the end because that is something that I would certainly struggle with.
Mate, it was tough, but it's good. We're seeing the back end now, and I'm sure everyone's very happy about that. We've got plenty to do this weekend, which will be good fun. I'm actually a little bit nervous, to be honest, of how I'll be pulling up. But
what have you booked?
We booked a place in North Fitzroy on Saturday called Monty's Pub, which will be good with a few of the boys. So it'll be nice to get down there and have a couple of cold beers. I'll probably cap it at maybe 2 or 3 and then just head home. Might be able to drive home enough to drive. So, yeah, it'd be nice, mate. And then I'll probably come home and do some knitting or something like that. It would be good.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you will have certainly a lot of excitement flowing through the air. So good luck with the 3.
Thank you. Mate, this time of year is normally where you come into Toby Greene mode. And it's not in terms of partying and whatnot, just in terms of you love travelling. You normally, as soon as the season finishes, you're off. You're jetting, you're a jet setter, you're what they call a travel bug. You're what they call someone who has been stung by the travel bug, and you love exploring the world and meeting new people and seeing new places. Talk us through maybe some of your trips that you've done in the past of late, and talk me through what your plans would have been for this off-season if things were to be as normal.
Yeah, you're right. I have got the travel bug. It's something I'm really proud of as well. It's something I'm glad I've got. I was actually speaking about this a couple of weeks ago that, obviously we can't travel overseas at the moment, but I'm glad I left nothing in the tank last off-season. I did a 4-week trip to Europe and then 2 weeks in America just to cap it off. So there was no stone left unturned last off-season, and it was probably a result of going deep in the finals and ready just to go away. And I was a bit flat, obviously really flat. We didn't make finals this year, so you sit here in Sydney and have to watch them, and it's not something I enjoyed. But yeah, I guess last year was probably one of the best trips I've ever done, going to Europe. Sort of did a little soccer trip with Stephen Canelio and Jager O'Meara, and we did some amazing things, went to some amazing games. European cultures suits you, actually. I know you had a good time in Paris and the likes, and something I'll certainly go back, and I probably would have gone back this year with my girlfriend Georgia, but that didn't eventuate. But as soon as we can go back overseas, I'll be straight out of here.
Break me down that trip, mate, because I know you've talked about it there, but I know it was a lot more special in person because I've seen some things and I've heard some stories. But basically, it was a trip of a lifetime, really. You were in Como in Italy on some super yacht. You went to one of the soccer games over there and met Mbappe and a few other guys. How were you getting these connections? Was this Stephen Canelio? Was it yourself? Was it Jaeger? How did you do the things that you were doing? Because it looked pretty special.
The soccer game the first one we started with was Cogs. That was a Juve versus Inter Milan, a top of the table clash there. I think Cogs sort of mentioned that we actually come across a bit of trouble that night. Being Juve supporters, at San Siro in Italy, we weren't well liked wearing Juve flags, and when they ended up winning with a late winner, yeah, Cogs might have been playing the team song in the cab, and we sort of got ambushed there by a couple of ultra Inter supporters. So it was certainly a football experience, a cultural experience, and something we'll laugh about for a while, I think. And then the PSG stuff, we went to the PSG training and got shown around there and got to meet all the players. That was probably one of the best things I've ever done, being a bit of a soccer nuffy. And I've been an Mbappe fan for a long time, and to meet him and get a photo and talk to him for a bit was I was like a kid in a candy store, really. Meeting all those guys, they're just on another level, and I obviously love my soccer, and it was an amazing experience going in and seeing how they do.
Yeah, for sure, mate. Looked unbelievable. Just on that with the soccer rivalries, just remembered a story that I remember when I was travelling in South America, in Argentina, and it just shows like how psychopathic these like football fans are. But the Boca Juniors have a rivalry. So basically, there's like Argentina. You've been to Argentina, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been to a La Boca game. Did you go to Boca Juniors versus River Plate?
Versus River. No, we weren't allowed to go, is what they were saying. Like the guy, so basically Argentina's split into north and south, or that makes sense, north and south. And you know how there's the rivalry. So the south, I think, is the poor, and the rich is the north. And basically River is the north, and La Boca Juniors is the south. And these teams, it's pretty much like Geelong versus Melbourne, but not even. They're like closer. It's like, like I don't even know. I can't compare it. It's in the same city. Obviously, you know this. I'm just explaining for the listeners, so there's context. That's what you do on a podcast. I set context. And that's why I'm good at what I do. I let people in. And this game, you can probably say it more because did you go to it?
I didn't go to a River versus Boca. No, I went to a Boca game, but I think it's one of the harder things to do is get tickets to that game, and it's and you got to be real careful when you do go.
Yeah, well, that's what the guy. We were staying in a hostel, and basically there was this big game going on, and the hostel was actually showing like, look, guys, no matter what you do, just like don't go to this game. It's really pretty full on because of obviously the rivalry. We're still pretty keen on going, and then wiser heads prevailed, and we didn't. But we actually went down and rode our bikes around La Boca, and even then, like no joke, I've never been so scared in my life. Like it was just the craziest like place, and I remember just sticking out like a sore thumb. Obviously, 3 Australian blokes just riding around on bikes. It was something that I'll probably never forget. Yeah, on my fixie. It was actually one of those little paid electric bikes. So that just screams tourist, screams please rob me. So yeah, it was a scary time.
No, it's a good place, Buenos Aires. You would have loved it.
I did. It was a good time. But if you want to ask me about where I'd travel, because I know you're super keen on asking me where I'd go in this off season.
Yeah, what's your 1, 2, 3, mate?
Okay, thanks for asking. I would be going to the States because I feel like I've done Europe pretty well now. Like I did that with my fiance, she's European. I did the France and whatnot. I was actually meant to be going to Europe this year when I was going to have the year off footy. I was meant to be going to Europe for about 6 weeks. We're doing a whole tour around Hungary because my fiance is Hungarian. We're going to be doing that. So that's disappointing we didn't get to do it. But if I had to go now, I'd be going to the States. I want to do Texas and that southern sort of part of US, I think, and be able to do that. I know you've had the chance to do that one. What would I be experiencing over there?
Yeah, I've got a good friend who lives in Texas, actually, and I hadn't spoke to him for about 6 years, and it was after the Austin City Limits Festival. I'd had a big 3 days, and I was with 5 boys. I said, get me out. I just need to get out of here. So I called my good friend Josh, who I hadn't spoke to since he moved back 6 years ago. I said, mate, I just need to chop out of here. And ended up staying at his house for a couple of nights. He's got the nicest family in the world, real Texas family. They got the whole guns barbecue going, and I ended up staying there a couple of days, and I'm forever in debt because it was some of the cooler things I've ever done, and just got to live that Texas lifestyle which they talk about.
Who was he, Australian bloke or an American guy?
I went to school with him in high school and hadn't seen him since I left high school, which was 7 years earlier.
That's the beauty of travelling, my friend, and I suppose you are, like I said, you are the definition of a travel bug. You've been stung, and ouch, when it hits, and a lot of people are. But one thing I do want to bring up about travel bugs is And again, giving this guy some airtime, a mutual friend of ours, Jake McBean. So
Yeah.
Jake's the sort of guy where there's real people like us that like to go and travel, and 90% of the world that love to go and travel, and they take it, they go there and they see what it is and they love it, but they don't try and pretend that they were that place. Whereas there is some people like Jake that go on Kentucky tours for 3 weeks, and instead of saying that they went on a Kentucky tour, they say that they lived in Europe for 3 weeks. So like when he refers to his time in Europe, he used to say like, yeah, I lived, when I was living in Europe. It's like, mate, you were living there for 3 weeks. That doesn't count.
Yeah, he's got a bit of that, doesn't he? Yeah, and it's actually hard to get him out of his house. So I don't know how he got overseas.
It's very true. Mate, big lifestyle changes for yourself this off season. Obviously, you love your life. Georgia, the beautiful Georgia's moved up to Sydney, which is fantastic. It's good for you. It's good for her. And more importantly, it's probably good for you to keep yourself out of trouble. But we love that, which has then come to the fact that you've had to kick Tommy Sheridan out of the house. How did that come about? Because he sort of thinks that the reason he's getting kicked out and didn't get another contract was because Georgia was coming up to Sydney and you've just put the foot down.
Yeah, she actually called Jace McCartney and said, can you get rid of this bloke? So Tommy got wind of that and said, I'll retire, I think. But no, he was a great housemate for a couple of years, and he spent the last month up in Gold Coast, so he's just coming good now, I think. So we'll have a good send off in the next couple of when he heads back to Melbourne in December, and he's coming to live with you, isn't he?
No, it's no, he's not. Definitely not. This is definitely not. Definitely not.
I reckon it'd be good for you. Teach you a bit of patience.
No, I think in the same states, close enough for train. Mate, talking of the exodus of the Giants, that Tommy probably retired a little bit too early. I think that with the amount of blokes that have requested some movement there, he might have been a chance to hold on for a few more.
Yeah, definitely. I certainly hasn't been ideal, and lost a couple of good friends, and probably one of my best mates in Jezza, and that was really shattering, and sad to see because I was always confident that he'd stay, and I was probably hoping considerable amount that he would stay, but he gave me a call and explained it when it did happen, and I'm grateful for that, and I can understand his reasoning, and I'll be a close mate of his for the rest of my life, but unfortunately I won't be kicking to him next year, which is disappointing, but someone else will step up.
Yeah, it is, mate. I know how close you and Jez were from the start. You obviously used to live together, and everyone that doesn't know Jez is genuinely one of the most generous blokes and loyal, down-to-earth blokes you'll ever meet. I know you've just said how hard it was then, but you said you didn't expect it. How hard is it to see blokes sort of starting to let, like a few guys leaving now? Obviously, there's been a few in the past that have left, but it sort of seems like in this last little period, like there's been a few more as well. Aiden Core is obviously another really close mate of yours, has left too. What's the feelings around that?
Oh, I guess everyone sort of, when they all get announced, there's certainly a sense of everyone's a bit flat and disappointed, especially the guys that are close to these guys. And, you probably got a lot of people saying, oh, the Giants are in a bit of trouble now. They've lost this. So it is what it is, though. It's really disappointing, but, you can't dwell on it for too long, and you be friends with these guys. So you move on, and it gives opportunities to a lot of younger guys coming through. It's certainly not ideal, and I'm not going to shy away from the fact that we would have loved a couple of those guys to stay, but it's happened now, and we move on, and we'll just hopefully Geelong give us something good for Jazz. That'd be handy.
Speaking of, I suppose you've been in Sydney, and I already know the answer to this, but it's worth asking. Why have you never come home? Like, why has that factor never been really big for you to get back to Melbourne?
Oh, the weather for one. It's yes. I guess it takes a couple of years to learn to. Well, it took a while to love Sydney, and I guess the guys that I grew up around, like from 18 to 22, we're all the same age, and it was so much fun, and didn't really miss home too much. And the more I got to live in Sydney, the longer I was here, the more people I met outside of footy. That I just began to love the place and love the beaches, love the weather. Probably don't love the Melbourne sort of bubble when and I know I would have got caught up in that a couple of times. And I've seen it firsthand. I hear a lot from guys who leave and go, yeah, it's certainly not as good playing footy down here as what it is up in Sydney. I think you can attest to that. So it's just never been a factor, and I can see the vision. I'm super determined to get to where we want to get to as a footy club. So that's probably the main reason.
Yeah, love it. And I couldn't agree more. I think even though a lot of guys have left the club, I think it nearly just takes us so much pressure off now because everyone is writing it off, whereas there's going to be so much work. And you and I both know how much talent that's in that team already, and there's already guys ready to step up. Last question on this. Jez Cameron gets to Geelong, okay? You're lining up against him round 1 next year. What would you love to do to him?
I don't know.
Because prior to this as well, let me just say, every Mad Monday or every time we're having a few beers, there's considerably amount of you two just wrestle each other. And it's honestly like, when your mates wrestle and you're like, oh, this is funny. Like me and Tommy wrestle, it's like 2 weak blokes just wrestling, everyone's laughing. But when you two wrestle, it's actually like a bit scary. Like everyone's sort of scared of what's going to happen because someone could actually like break their arm.
Yeah, no, that has been a feature of Mad Monday for a long time. So that's disappointing that the main event's now been shifted. I don't know. I'll probably have a few things I'd like to say to him as he's having a set shot. But not too much. He's a pretty big boy. He's pretty tough. So there's not too much you could say that would scare him or anything you could do. But I'll certainly, I guess I'll certainly miss playing with him, and I'll love playing against him because I know how much of a competitor he is, and I guess looking forward to that one. Yeah,
it'd be good. Mate, talk us through this, okay? If you haven't noticed, and I'm not sure if you have, because I know you really don't care about this sort of stuff, but I'm just going to fill you in. You cause a little bit of drama every now and then. You're quite a polarising person. Sorry, I won't say person. You're a polarising player, because the one thing you're not is a polarising person, and I think there's a very distinct feature of yours, and I suppose I was lucky enough to be a very good friend of mine, and we're very close mates. It's amazing to see what people think you're like versus what you actually are like. So I've split it into 2 people. There's Toby Greene, and then there's Tony Greene. Okay, so Tony Greene is my mate. Tony Greene, that's who I like to call you, Tony, because people think you're this big, tough, huff and puff person, but realistically, Tony Greene is a tea drinking, paper reading, very good friend that doesn't really talk a lot.
Yeah.
Would you have summed that up pretty well?
Yeah, you're pretty spot on, yeah.
Why do you think you are so polarising? Why do you think people have such an opinion of you in the media? And I know it doesn't matter because these people don't know who you are, but why do you think that is?
Oh, it's pretty clear. Certainly do some things on the field that most players don't do. Probably overstepped the line a fair few times in my career, and people don't like that. But it's probably something I've been doing since I was 6 or 7 years old. So it's sort of ingrained in me, and I've got better at it. Certainly don't want to be getting suspended for any more finals or anything like that. So it's something I always have to keep in mind and work on. But I think that's the main reason why I'm polarising. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. So you can acknowledge like kicking people in the face and that sort of thing. that sort of can cause a stir. So that's good. I do.
Nah, you're right. Yeah, I can understand.
Yeah, you can understand. If you had to explain, then I suppose, giving an insight into yourself now, you're obviously quite, a very intelligent man. You study a lot. There's a lot of times where I'd want to go out to the beach, but no, I'm studying. You've got, you're very committed to your work placements and whatnot. What's your off field like at the moment, I suppose, and how's that probably developed over the years?
Yeah, no, it's trying to stay as busy as possible at the moment. Obviously, being in Sydney, I'll probably be here till Christmas time. So yeah, just trying to stay busy with your studies. And then Matty De Boer's, I'm sort of his little apprentice at the moment. He's got a couple of things in the works with venture capital and those sort of things, athletic ventures that he started. And I've been learning as much as I can off him, and it's been an amazing couple of months since that has kicked off, and I've learnt so much in such a quick period of time. So it's something I'll continue to develop, I think.
Break that down quickly for me, because for the average man, I don't know what venture capitalist is, and I only know it is because you've explained it to me. But for a person that doesn't, which I think would be 90% of people. What are you two actually about at the moment? What's happening? So you're sort of investing in businesses together?
Yeah, little startup businesses. It's sort of he initiated, and he's got a lot of guys involved from around Australian sport. Guys like Mitch Stark, Matty Dellavedova, a few cricketers, few soccer players. A couple of netball girls, and some really cool people involved who are sort of like-minded and interested in that space. And Matty's sort of been with a lot of friends who are a lot smarter than us, have been screening a lot of companies and businesses, and we pick the best ones that we think that might have potential and sometimes put money in. And there's only been a couple so far, but I reckon he's probably listened to 500 on it. It's been an amazing deal flow since we rolled it out.
Yeah, Matt DeBoer, I've said it once, I've said it again, but he's an impressive unit. His football career is just the start of something for him. I don't know what goes through that bloke's head, but he's just does not switch off. It's impressive to be around, so you're in good hands with him, and I know you're adding a lot there. Mate, quickly, I want to ask you, and then I want to tell you a story. 2019, that final series, and I just want to go back. I know it's shit to talk about. Obviously, we lost the grand final. When I say we, I had no play in it whatsoever. It was mainly the team.
You were there, mate.
I was there. Yeah, I was at the game. I did the grand final sprint. That was actually quite fun, and a few media appearances. Now, through that time, it was obviously, I can't even remember what happened, to be honest, but you've been suspended twice through that time. You had to go to do, fly to Melbourne, do all these appearances, 2-hour tribunal setting, and then ended up getting suspended and stuff. How big was that time? Because I can remember that and how big it was, and we were in Sydney at the time. I can't imagine how crazy that was in Melbourne. How hard it was for yourself as well, potentially missing out on a prelim, which you ended up missing out on, but still winning, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, it was a crazy time. Obviously didn't think it would play out like that. The first one I was pretty confident I'd get off, the Bontempelli stuff, and I think I was taking the piss a bit. I wore that T-shirt down to the tribunal appearance, and I don't think people were too happy with that either. I probably didn't take it as serious as what it was. And then, we obviously won 3 finals in a row. The second one I got in trouble again. Was probably more confident with that one that I'd get off, and didn't. And when that happened, it was quite shattering, but I guess I didn't want to really think too much until after the prelim, and what happened. It was one of the most amazing days I've ever been a part of, and it was so enjoyable to watch. Well, not enjoyable, I was pretty nervous by the end, but so I guess if it had gone another way, I would have been pretty broken for a period of time, but it didn't, and I got an opportunity to play in the grand final. It obviously didn't go the way we wanted to, but it was a pretty hectic couple of weeks. There was lots going on, and sort of hiding out a little bit over those couple of weeks because there was plenty of stuff being said and filmed. So I was just trying to keep as low key as I could, but it didn't really work.
Yeah, I do. I remember that, mate. Like it was yesterday. It was all a really tough time for yourself. And I think that there's one thing that I want to say in that time, and I remember you just mentioned on the T-shirt thing, but I think that if anyone asked me, what's Toby Greene like? What does he stand for as a person? I remember this like clear as day. And, in a time where it was all realistically, you were going through a fucking shit time and all these things were going against you. Everyone was saying all these bad things about yourself. You flew down to Melbourne, and before you flew down, I remember we were just sitting there and I didn't even know what to say because it was such a stiff time. I was thinking about you, I was thinking about this, and I remember you just saying the first thing you said was, fuck, mate. It's going to be a fair few cameras on me at this airport. What do you say? We just get a Dylan Friends T-shirt and I'll just rock it. And I just remember that because I think that speaks volumes of yourself, and I never forgot that. I think as a mate and how much it meant to me that in the toughest time that was going on for you, the first thing that you thought of was how can I help my mates out in this situation. So that's a story that I always want people to know and to show your character, because that's when people ask me who is Toby Greene, I tell that story, and there's a million more probably that I can't tell, but that's one that I can. So I want to always thank you for that, and I think that shows exactly who you are.
No, I was just disappointed you asked for the T-shirt back, to be honest, but we'll move on.
I definitely did not do that. Now, mate, it's not all fun and games today. On a more serious note, we are doing something really cool. We're teaming up together this year for Movember, and you called me last week and said, "Dill, let's do something. I want to get involved." I've been lucky enough to be involved in Movember for 3 years now. And really want to, obviously really passionate about that, as are you. And I think, when you called me to do this thing that we're about to do, it was obviously a bit of a shock. Not a shock for me, but it was something where I suppose as a bloke that you're not sort of the sort of guy that likes to, not cry, but, just worry people. And I'm the sort of guy that likes to throw my problems on absolutely everyone. You're quite a closed off sort of guy. So for you, I knew that was a big thing. Talk us through your relationship, I suppose, with mental health, and I suppose the biggest factor in mid-2019, you and your family were heavily affected by an event. If you talk us through what happened and why we're so passionate about this and why we're running this Movember campaign this year.
It's something that's really, really affected my family. So halfway through last year, my cousin, who sort of grew up with, lived around the corner. He's the same age as my younger brother, so he's pretty much like a younger brother to me. Took his life. I mean, he was about to turn 21 that next week. It left devastating consequences. No one saw it coming. That was probably the worst part, and wish I could have done something. I wish I could have said, "Come up to Sydney, mate. Come hang out for a weekend. Let's talk." There was just no inclination as to something like that would happen, which I know rocked a lot of people in my family and still does. And it's probably mental health. I hadn't given too much of a thought about it. Sometimes get maybe like anxiety about how you play and things like that, but nothing to that degree. And I never really given it too much time. And I was always aware of it. I know how many people it affects, and I know what devastating consequences it can have if it's not treated right. And after that, it took such a heavy toll on people around me, and my mum and auntie still obviously hugely affected by it. And it took a while to even talk about it, and then sort of been thinking about it for a long time, and hear so many sad stories. And obviously, like what happened with Jacinda Buckley a couple of weeks ago was again really devastating. And I felt like it was probably time to do something and talk about it and contribute in a positive way. And came up with the idea that I'd team up with you and let's have a crack at raising some money for mental health in November.
Yeah, we will, mate, and we're going to be doing a massive play, which we'll get into, and how people can join us in that in a moment. But if you don't mind, we'll talk a little bit about more of the situation, I suppose, personally for yourself. Take us back to that time, and probably the first inclination of when you heard that the event had occurred. What went through your mind? What were you thinking straight away? Obviously, you're in Sydney, your family's in Melbourne. How did it all play out?
Yeah, I still get tingles thinking about it. I think it was a Monday, so we just played Sunday, I think. Mum just called me, and like I could just sense I knew straight away because she was crying, and had an immediate sense that something wasn't right, something was really wrong. And she told me that Finley's passed away, he's taken his own life. And I sort of, I get sort of sends shivers down my spine now. And just sort of froze and said, I said, "You're fucking kidding, aren't you? Like, what are you talking about? Like, that's bullshit. That's not true." And we sort of talked about it for a couple of minutes and just got straight in the car, drove straight to the airport, got on the first flight I could get on to come back home, and came to my cousin's house. All my cousins and family were there, and pretty surreal experience. I think the first person I hugged was Grandma, and just broke down for a long time. And I guess the effects it had, like on my cousin Paris, who was Finley's brother, my uncle and auntie John and Chris. I know how much it deeply affected them and still does. And yeah, it was shocking time, and I feel for any family who's ever had to gone through that, because I've seen it, and it's nothing I wish on anyone.
Mate, tell me about Finley as a person. I know he was a special man.
Him and my younger brother are sort of known for getting up to a bit of trouble, and like little rascals a bit, I guess. Growing up, they were the youngest in the family, and just like happy-go-lucky, such a caring, one of the most caring people I ever met. Had a special affection with animals. Like, any animal he met, he just fell in love with, and he was sort of known for that. And at his funeral, it was incredible. It was like 1,000 people there, and all his friends, and it was just crazy to see how many people cared about him. And I know if he knew that, it could have potentially helped, but. It's just it was so shattering to see, and I know how much of a positive effect he had on so many people's lives. So yeah, I'll just start by saying that.
He sounds like such an incredible person, which I know he was, and the way you speak about him now, and like you said, obviously had so many close friends and family affected by this. And I think that, like you said, it's one of those things where you think, fuck me, like, you know, if I knew something was at risk, or you knew something was, you know, you could help out in any way, you would. And not that you can look back now and you can't change what's happened in the past, but I suppose what has that taught you now in terms of being a mate and a cousin and a brother to your friends? Like, do you check in on people now, or?
Yeah, I guess you're certainly more aware of everything mental health related. Probably check on my brothers more now than what I did previous, which probably shouldn't have taken that to happen. But even like my WhatsApp group with mates back in Melbourne, or a lot of my close mates are Melburnians, and it's probably had a really tremendous effect on them. Like, everyone sort of checks in when perhaps things happen to certain guys that probably disappointing to happen, and even throughout COVID, it was just great to see, like, how's everyone going? Is it ever, if someone's struggling a bit, the boys will probably message each other and say, let's give this guy a call, and it's been amazing to see the response, and I know, like, talking about it, and I know how prominent mental health is becoming, and it's just, the more people talk about it and address it, the more positive effects it'll have.
Yeah, for sure, mate. And there's been a lot of good work done over the last 3 or 4 years in terms of breaking that stigma. But obviously, the really hard thing is that we talk about Finley and his friends and family. That a lot of the times in these cases, it's so scary because we just don't often know when people are struggling on the surface, and it's hard to sort of tell, if something is happening. So I suppose this is a massive point that we just need to make sure that we're, just checking in on people, whether that be those messages or something like that can just sort of help each other out. And I suppose that's why the reason we're doing what we're doing, because we can't just keep standing for this now. Like 2018, the stats were 6 males take their life every day. And then in 2019, the stats have just been revealed, and we're talking to Hugo about this in the previous episode, but that's actually gone up to 7 people, 7 males a day, are now taking their lives of last year. And unfortunately, that hasn't had the effect of what COVID-19 yet has even had on that. So it's quite scary to think, and hopefully it isn't, but we know how hard that's been for people's mental health. So by doing these things, and someone like yourself with such a big reputation and so well known, standing up and talking something like this, it's definitely going to have a massive impact.
No, I appreciate it, mate, and hopefully it does.
What would you say, I suppose, to someone more, like yourself, in terms of not putting words in your mouth, but doesn't like to share their emotions as much as others?
Yeah, I often get told this by Georgia. Probably need to talk a bit more, but I guess everyone's sort of, and I'm hoping that a lot of people do have someone that they really trust, or they sort of can talk to, and it might not even be their best friend, but they find them easy to talk to. Like, I guess for me, I can speak to my mum pretty freely about most things. Or I've got a couple of select mates that I could call up and say, look, I'm probably struggling with this a bit. And I'm hoping that's the same for everyone listening. And, it doesn't have to be your best friend or psychologist or your mum. It can be perhaps something like a work colleague or someone like that. For me, it's probably just letting them know. And I guess once you express what you are struggling with, talk about it, that's off your chest, and then you've got strategic ways to go about how you can better yourself, or how you can adopt new methods, or I guess just getting it off your chest as well probably helps in a sense. So I'm saying that's my way. It's certainly not the way to do it, or there's no set routine or anything like that. So everyone's got to find a different way, and but I guess that's mine.
Yeah, and I suppose even on that, because again, as you said, you're quite a reserved character. Even George would say that. Being one of your mates, I could say that, and it, be sometimes hard. Like a lot of blokes, we can't. Not that you don't want to do that, but it's just that your personality. It's not to do these things, which I suppose a lot of guys are like that. But knowing you and knowing what you go through in terms of, as we were talking about earlier, polarizing things, like I suppose it'd be. Obviously, you can say these things don't affect you about, like what media and fans and stuff would say, but do those things have an effect on you, and how extreme does that get at times?
Oh, yeah, it doesn't really have an effect. Certainly not what the media says. It is what it is, and your narrative changes depending on how you play or what you do. So, you can't read too much into it. I guess after certain events, you hear a lot from fans about what sort of person you are and what should happen to you, but there's not too much stuff that affects me. There's certainly been a lot of things that have been that people have stepped over the mark, and I try not to read most of the stuff, and I don't really, because it's just not good for you. There's some really interesting people out there, and they feel the right to say things, and but it's part of playing AFL footy, and when you cause a few issues and you're in the limelight for periods of time, I've learned to deal with it. It's just part of it. And I know some people are different, and some people probably struggle a little bit more than me, and I'm probably lucky in that way that I don't really read too much into it. It doesn't stay in my head. But it's certainly different. I can understand why players struggle, and some of the stuff, it's not ideal.
It definitely is, mate. But what you're doing now, and what we're going to be doing this month, which we'll get into now, can't imagine how proud your family would be of you, and I can't imagine how proud Finley would be of you for doing this, mate. So hopefully we can make a really big change in that, which I know we will, because we're starting a team. We've got a team, and we want everyone to be a part of it. It's the Toby Greene, Buckley, Dylan Friends initiative. That's no, it's not. It's actually your initiative. I'm just helping out, and it's most of Finley. So we've got a team starting, and I'm trying to run 150 Ks this month. And if you knew me and you knew what my body was made of, which is pure tissue paper, you'd know how hard that's going to be. And I'm going to do my best to finish that. Tad, what are you doing?
Well, I obviously do the mow, and then I thought, what's the hardest thing I could do like this time of year? What do I enjoy the most? And it's probably, I'm pretty straight shooting and serious during the season, but then October, November is kind of my time, and I like to go have a beer with the boys, and I'm going away to Byron for a good stint, and Beach Hotel is one of my favourite watering holes in Australia behind Harry's Inlet pub. And so I said, I'm gonna do something that's actually worth it, and it's for such a good cause, and I'm gonna sacrifice no alcohol for the month, and do that. And some people go, oh, it's not that hard, but it kind of is.
Knowing you at this time of year, I know how hard that is, and for anyone who's been working all year. But as we said, we want all you guys and girls to join our team. We want as many people as possible to join and to raise money. I'm going to have all the links in the bio for Mo's for Finley, our team that we'll be going. We're going to be posting in it, updating it. Tommy Sheridan's going to be in there. All of our mates are going to be in there. A lot of guys are going to be in there. We're all going to be a big community together to be raising money for Movember and suicide prevention and mental health, all in the name of Finley, because we are such a special person that we want to really, really help out and break the stigma of. Also, the very exciting part of this is Tobys is a very generous man. He's going to be donating a pair of boots. He's going to be donating jumper, a footy jumper. I'm going to be donating all the Dylan Friends stuff that I can. Tommy Sheridan's going to donate some Rick's Eyewear. We're going to get some other businesses as well. And whoever raises the most money in our team is going to be winning these prizes. Depending on how many prizes, excluding us, obviously. Depending on how many prizes we have as well, there's going to be probably going to be first, second, or third. But once you join the team, we're raising money for Movember. We're raising money for Finley's, in Finley's name to really, break the stigma of this and get around it. And that's what it's for. But obviously, we want to put some incentives there as well for people to be going as hard as they can. So you get, as we said, it's going to be named there on the website, but a Toby Greene signed boot, signed jumper, all the Dylan Friends merch. Tommy Sheridan's going to have some Ricks. And any other businesses listening that want to get involved in this, you can hit us up and email me. That'll be in there, and we'll get you involved as well, which will be huge. But we want all of you to join. The link's in the bio. Raise as much money and awareness as you can. And I'm very excited, Tub. Very, very excited for this.
No, I'm pumped. Yeah, it'd be great. It's a great initiative, and I'm glad I'm doing it with you. And I know how many listeners you've got, so we're going worldwide here, and I'm looking forward to what we can do.
We're going global. Mate, to finish up, talk us through Toby Greene in the next phase, I suppose. Obviously, you've still got a long time left. I think you signed about a 15-year contract, so it's a long, long time. But one thing I know you've always got an eye on the future. What is next for yourself?
Oh, I'll be pretty low-key. Looking forward to going back to Melbourne probably for Christmas. Hopefully there's some normality by then. Good to see family and friends that I haven't seen in a long time. And Melbourne, everyone will be up and about by Christmas, I reckon. So hopefully there's some things to do. So I'll be doing that, and then obviously pre-season we've got a fair break. So try and keep as busy as possible, and then start building for next year and go from there. So just play as it comes, but making sure we put ourselves in the best position for next year.
Yeah, very exciting. And in terms of life post-football, what does it look like at this stage? Have you put any more thought into it?
Oh, I'm not 100% sure, mate. It's a continual work in progress, but don't want to bookmark anything. So I'm just not sure. But I know I've got ideas. So I'm going to work on that over the next couple of years, and and grow from there.
Can't thank you enough for coming on. Very, very excited about this. What we're doing, very brave of yourself, and as I said earlier, mate, I know how proud your family would be of this, to get this done, because it's obviously a very, very special cause to yourself, and I'm just super proud that I can get involved with you and we can help out and hopefully help someone along the way.
No, I appreciate you doing it, mate, and I'm glad to be here, and hopefully everyone gets around it. I'm really looking forward to it.
We will do. Check in. The links will be in the bio, guys. Join our team, Mo's for Finley, and let's raise some awareness, raise some much needed coin, and you can be the winner of some awesome prizes and also make a difference. So let's get going. Enjoy. Last question was on for the rest of the day. I've heard you got a nice lunch. Probably. Technically, to be honest, mate, you should be really sending it today, because this is the last drink that you're going to have this is the last opportunity. We're recording this prior to November, obviously.
Oh, look, yeah, I'll probably get South Dowling. I got the e-bike, so I'll just go for a little stroll down to South Dowling, and then, Moonee Valley tonight, Derby Day tomorrow, World's my oyster the next couple of days, so we'll see how we go.
Tava, have a good one, my friend. I'll chat to you soon.
Thanks, mate.